Hello and welcome to Crypto Weeklies. In this video, we had analyzed Hedera and its token HBAR. None of the content financial advice. Right now, the price of HBAR is slightly under 10 cents. It's at 9.5 cents level. These are the monthly candles, and again, they are momentum based or Heikanashi based candles for HBAR. The momentum in the last bear market starting December 2021 till about December 2022, the 12 months was essentially red. Now you can argue that in 2025 this started in October, so potentially could end in October 2026. Still we are 1 2 3 4 5. Now it's the 6 month or halfway stage in the downturn. You can see the sharper drops occurred the last time towards the end of the 6th month. So first 3 months had that downturn, then the 4th month was relatively quiet, and then the 5th and 6th months had a broader drawdown, and essentially after the 7th month you can say that the range was already found, and then the bottom was a process from month 7 to month 12. Now we are at month number 6 with the 5 months of downturn. Potentially month number 6 and 7 could call the trajectory, or call that trajectory of the bottoming into play in the next 2 months. Coming to the 200-week simple moving average and the 300-week simple moving average, the 200-week is at, roughly speaking, slightly under 11 cents, whereas the 300-week is slightly above 13.5 cents. Price is lower than the 200-week simple moving average and 300-week simple moving average. Again, this is relatively a newer asset. So HBAR completed its first 200-week in 2023 July, whereas 300-week in June 2025. So nonetheless, for quality assets, which right now HBAR is looking like a quality asset, if it stays like a quality crypto asset, accumulating below the 200-week simple moving average, definitely not the worst time, not financial advice. Looking at some of the range that HBAR could go to in the bottoming part, that yellow channel over here, the midpoint of that channel is at around 7.5 cents, and in the February drop, in the early February 2026 drop, that price action did go to that midpoint at around 7.2 cents. The bottom of this channel, again, if there is a new low for HBAR, again, this might get invalidated. But if, let's say, HBAR maintains a higher low from the 2022 low, the lowest it could go by still maintaining that higher low status would be at around price action slightly above 4.4 cents. So that 4.4 cents level for HBAR could be the end of the channel for the bear market bottom. Coming to the our own website and using machine learning based or regression based analysis to identify what's the current scenario for HBAR, starting with the time weighted average price model to help identify if price is in from the gravity of time perspective, not just looking at the current price, but holistically looking at how the price has spent its entire life as an asset, HBAR as an asset, how it has spent its entire life. This blue line is an indicator of the time weighted or the gravity of time based price action. Helps identify if the price is lower than the blue line, significantly lower than the blue line. That means you're at that point, you're essentially beating the clock and entering at a level where the market has spent very little time in. So again, you can invalidate by saying that again, price action for especially assets such as altcoins, price action can spend months to years lower than the blue line. But come the bullish seasonality, the blue line acts as a separator between what is essentially an accumulation phase and essentially overhyped or unusually bullish phase. Typically in the last bear market, price action found a low at around level where the difference between the price and the time weighted average price was 70%. Again, in 2024 it went as low as about 60%. Right now the price action is about 23% lower than the time weighted average price. The time weighted average price for HBAR is at around 12 cents. Again, it's a growing line at this point, as the price has spent a lot of time in 2024, late 2024 and in 2025 above that 12 cents level. The peak for HBAR this time around was at around 38 cents. and at that point the risk level was 8. Now the risk level is 1. This model helps identify both the accumulation zones, which is again typically lower than the risk level 1 for an altcoin, and the opposite is whenever the risk level goes higher than risk level 8 and risk level 9. Again, next time around even the risk level 7 might come into play as the asset class becomes more and more mature. It would be harder to go hyper bullish and overvalued from cycle to cycle as market becomes more and more aware of this asset. So where can HBAR go based on this model? If 50% cut on that time weighted average price, the bottom for HBAR could be at around 6 cents, which is exactly half of 12 cents. If there is a 70% or 60% correction, 60% for that 12 cents would be at around slightly less than 5 cents for HBAR. Again, 30% of 12 cents is still 33% of 12 cents is still 4.5 cents. That's where the price action could bottom if there is a 70% correction on that price and the difference between price and the time weighted average price at the bottom. All in all, again, accumulating at this level is definitely not financial advice, but not the worst idea. Looking at historical places where the price action was below the blue line over here again, but still it comes as a caveat at that the price action has the tendency to go 50 to 60% lower than the time weighted average price. If that happens again, that would present another great opportunity to do dollar cost averaging. At least one model in favor of DCA at this point. The regression based model saying that the fair value for HBAR is at around 11.5 cents. This is a mathematically derived fair value based on regression, polynomial regression based derivation of what could a line look like which could cut the price action into two halves based on its entirety of life spent as an asset, and using 2 degrees of freedom using non-linear polynomial based function to justify what is the fair value of an asset, which comes at around 11.5 cents. Price is below that. Typical undervaluation for HBAR again is one standard deviation residual drawn from that fair value to the downside, which is the bear case bottom for HBAR at that 5.5 cent level is again coming into the picture. If price action goes there at that level, that could usher in again a bottoming discussion at that point. The topping level, again, one standard deviation residual to the top. Again, let's say in the next bull run, if the price action were to go to that level, that could be at around 23 to 24 cents. And from the green line, that is the green line bottom, to the yellow line top, that's about roughly speaking 4.5x gain from bottom to top. That's a healthy return if that kind of play HBAR manages to do. So this is again all of these models available for free, and they are all updated at a daily level. I personally developed this website using this model. The graph that we have, this is the price forecast using machine learning model using seasonal ARIMA based time series analysis and LSTM based machine learning model to identify, and using the standard deviation based confidence levels to identify what could the asset do in a bear market, in a bull market, using its own historical price behavior and volatility to identify those moves. So if there is a counter trend rally in March, let's say price closes to that comes close to that early April price goes to 14 cents level, that could be a good decent counter trend rally, considering we are in the middle of a bear market starting. For HBAR, it kind of started quite early. In July was the secondary peak for HBAR, and the top came in 2025 January itself. So the downturn for HBAR has been longer than, let's say, other assets such as Bitcoin or ETH, which topped in the fourth quarter or third quarter of 2025, whereas HBAR peaked in first quarter of 2025 or late 2024 itself, based on how you look at it over here. Again, the wick was higher in mid-January 2025. So almost the entirety of 2025, and now in first quarter of 2026, the seasonality has been bearish for H bar. So let's say if 2 to 3 months we are trying to extrapolate further more downturn. If let's say till mid-May, again time could be different, the timelines could be different, but let's say 2 months of more downturn from mid-March to mid-May, that would be 2 months. Maybe those 2 months occur in September to November or September to October or August to October. But let's say 2 more months of bearishness for H bar. What could be the bear case in that environment? It again kind of confluences at around 5.5 cents yet again. All in all, if we were to estimate what is the upside and the downside, we have this model, the estimated bear market bottom model, keying in H bar over here. Weighted risk says that the worst case scenario is at around 5 cents. The base case is at around 6 cents, which is roughly speaking 32% to 33% down from here, whereas the worst case 45% down from here. Closing on a bullish note, what could H bar do in a typical bull market years, let's say timeline to be decided, or just using that 4-year market cycle based hypothesis, the 2 standard deviation ceiling for H bar in the next bull run could be at around 67 cents, 1 standard deviation at around 26 cents. If price action goes to 26 cents from that bottom of 5 cents, that's roughly speaking 5x. 63 cents is well over 10 to 11 to 12x of the lows. So that's the machine learning based outlook for H bar timeline to be decided. And using the risk based analysis, again the same model that we looked for a bottom prediction, the base case scenario, if there is a decent altcoin season in 2028-2029, H bar going to $1 level is still within the that bullish case without being hyper bullish or stretch goal or a moon case for H bar, which is about 18x of the current price. The base case is roughly 10x of here. And with that, I would like to conclude. Hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please give a like and subscribe, and hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.